All right, good morning, everyone. If we could all make some noise to make people kind of rush in here. Everyone clap super loud. We're going to get started and hopefully, all right, we need one more as loud as you can possibly be. Let's get people in here. So on the count of three, we'll get started. 1, 2, 3. I expect people to surge into Flex Day like they're really excited, but perhaps that's a little ambitious. Good morning, everyone. We're going to get started as people roll in, just because we want to keep the morning moving. I know it's great to try to make sure everyone is here, but there's a lot of food out there, and folks are saying hello and Happy New Year and all that. My name's Scott Hoshida. I use the pronouns he and him. I'm an English faculty at Berkeley City College. And the Staff Development Officer for the Peralta Community College District, and thank you for coming for our Spring 2019 District Flex Day. I'm also wearing a red shirt, red for Ed. If you didn't know, the United Teachers Los Angeles is on strike in the rain, so I'm here supporting them. I was just at a PTA meeting at my elementary school where OEA, the Oakland Educators Association for the Oakland Unified School District, is talking about having a strike in the next 4 to 6 weeks possibly. So these are just kind of some of the roles that I play. If you have a card, you should have a card, and I want to talk a little bit about this in just a second. As I was, during the break, I was taking the ferry with my family over to San Francisco, and I was seeing these cool cranes, and realizing how beautiful Oakland looks from a different perspective, right? Sometimes you need to step out, sit on the water, and float, and get a sense of where we're at. And I know there's a lot of, that Peralta is a unique place, and that we have a lot of great kind of culture and community in ways that you may not find anywhere else. And I also feel like one of the things that we want to do is cultivate some gratitude and appreciation. Even as we protest, even as we debate, even as we kind of disagree, like both we have to have those things and then we actually have to work together. You know, you have a disagreement and then the next day you actually have to solve a problem. So today, oh, where's my clicker? So on these cards, I want you to think of someone in Peralta who you appreciate, someone who has lifted you up like a crane. So we have cranes and we have trees, or someone who you lean on. And it should be, and consider someone who's not in this room. So I want you to really think about this person, what they've done, because I feel like we also have a great number of connections amongst each other. I want you to write down their name, their college, and their area or their district office. And I want you to pass those in after you're done. So write it down. So take some time, write down the name of that person, their full name, what they've done for you, why you lean on them, why they've lifted you up, and then put your name down below. And I'm going to give you like 3 or 4 minutes to do that. And when you're done, you can share what you wrote with someone next to you. And then I want them to be passed down this way and then down, and we'll collect them in this basket right here. If you need a card, who needs a card? Raise your hand. Okay, I have some cards here. Is Catherine here? She was going to help out. Catherine is going to do them over here. Raise your hand high if you do not have a card. So just think of one person. And what this is really doing is helping us cultivate some gratitude for each other, for the people here, even as we know that we will inevitably get into some disagreements. And I want, as you're writing down your own gratitude and appreciation for one person, hopefully someone not here, to kind of draw them into the room in that spirit of gratitude. I want to give some thanks and shout outs to folks who helped out for today. Kinetta, Derek, and Amy from facilities, Alfred, who's out there hustling, and the Laney catering crew. Tech is Dale, Vu, William, Rupinder, Joe, and Angel. From Academic Affairs is Laura, Ann, Shanova, Constance, Violetta, and of course, Vice Chancellor Sue Brown. All the PD chairs and committees who've worked, and all the presenters, facilitators, DAS, and administrators who are helping out. I'm really kind of helping, trying to just pull all of our work together. And so really quickly, can we give those folks a hand too? Just a really quick thank you. And I'm gonna give you a few more minutes just to write down your little notes. And then Catherine, can you help? We're gonna pass them down this way. You can talk to someone about it, and I'll give you a couple minutes, and then we'll get rolling with the program. In those few minutes, if the reps would not, we can congregate down here, and we'll begin shared governance shout-outs in just a second, okay? There are 2 cards, you only need to do 1. You can do more if you want. This is a little experiment, and we'll see what happens. We will collect them, or I will collect them, and then resend them out in a little bit of time. So that person will receive that card from you from today. Catherine is walking around with a basket that we will take. Okay. It's okay. I'm sure the rain is stopping some folks. It's a little tough. We're going to start in 1 minute with shared governance. Local 39 will be up first, then with classified reps, and then with faculty reps. So give me 1 minute and just make sure everybody's here, and then we'll get rolling with the shared governance welcomes. Cards can be passed down, and Catherine's going to help collect them. Thank you. All right. Let's do some formal welcomes. Really quickly again, the theme for this year that I chose is working together. At first I was like very, perhaps naively thinking that working together, that we are actually better working together, but I know that perhaps it's better to just be thinking that, you know what, it's just a fact. We have to work together. So rather than think that we're actually better sometimes we are and sometimes we're not, that we ought to just admit to ourselves that in order to do the work that we need to do, we have to work together. And that's the theme for the year. And so that's kind of what we're working towards, and I'll talk a little bit more when we have our presenters come out. In that spirit, I'm hoping that our shared governance leaders can come up. Do I have a representative from local, hold on. Local 39? No, okay. Richard, do you want to come on up? Let's give our shared governance leader a hand. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Richard Toley, work at District Admissions and Records Office, and am the SEIU chapter president here at Peralta. I did mention something about, according to the theme in fall about working together and doing so respectfully and moving forward that way. I also want to challenge, at this point, faculty, staff, administrators to question. Okay, as we work together, I believe it's important to question if things are being done accurately, if policies and procedures are being followed, and I think we're at a time at Peralta that we need to start questioning those things, but not quietly, not internally. I think we need a voice and express our concerns with what's going on at the district, throughout the district, in your departments, with administrators, and not just sit idly by. We have many issues that are coming within the next couple years that are going to directly affect faculty and classified staff and the ability to retain our positions and be able to service students. So we really need to get out and be vocal and represent our classified, our respective positions and roles, and work together respectfully, raise these questions, but also not be hidden in our departments, behind our computer screens. We really need to come out to meetings, and I want to challenge classified staff to be more involved in your union, more involved in your senates. I'm going to several meetings, and classified staff are really lacking in these areas, and classified staff do have a voice. So all together, we need to stand up, question, work together, and really start coming out of the woodwork and not be afraid to raise these questions that directly affect us and our communities. Thank you.
Glenn Pace from the Classified Senate.
Good morning, everyone. To President Tamil Gickerson, Laney College administrative executives, classified executive staff, classified professionals, student body president, and Laney College students, and any other dignitaries if you're present. For those who might not know me, I'm Glenn Pace. I'm the interim president of the Classified Senate. Many of you are aware that our former president of the Classified Senate, Mr. Robert Tracy, is no longer with us at Laney College. The classified professionals want to recognize the awesome job and leadership Mr. Tracy executed as he served as our president. We wish him the best in his next endeavor. Brandy Howard, our prior president of the Classified Senate, set the bar high, and Mr. Tracy kept the classified agenda moving, pushing the bar even higher, and it is my plan to stay the course, not to deviate from assuring that the classified voice is not only heard, but is taken seriously as a vital stakeholder in student success. There are many challenges facing the Peralta College District as a whole, and the impact will be experienced collectively and individually by many of us here at Laney College and the district abroad. Some of our hourly classified professionals have already been affected, and we cannot and should not sustain any further eliminations within our ranks. We are on the front line to student success and take pride in assisting our students. I believe we work and serve among some of the best, the brightest, and the talented professionals in the Bay Area. I hear it from our students. I observe it on the smiles on their faces when they have attained their class schedules and are often running, pursuing their dreams. I also observe it on graduation day on their faces and the faces of their support systems, their families, their friends, and the community. But sadly to say, I have also heard it from the other side. For instance, yesterday, a student returning to register, to re-register, I saw him go into the tower for several hours back and forth. He was very frustrated. I gave him an ear to voice his frustration, and he informed me it took him about 4 hours to re-register. He said he had not experienced this on any other Peralta Community College campus. He added that the staff did their best to assist him, but information in the computer network was not accurate. And I'm sure I was not the first ear that he had, and neither was my ear the first that he told of his struggles. The pain of seeing him struggle made me think, what are we here for? I just want to let us know as we go forward into this semester to understand that our students are determined, they demand, and they deserve the best of our service as they navigate to be their best. So let there be a paradigm shift in our thinking towards our students. Good morning, Laney College. Let's begin the work that is necessary to lift our students higher.
Thank you, Glenn. Next up, I would like to introduce Jennifer Sadarski, PFT President.
Good morning and Happy New Year to all of the faculty, staff, administrators, and maybe some students that are gathered here this morning. My name is Jennifer Sadarski. I'm a chemistry teacher at Laney College and president of the Peralta Federation of Teachers, the union that represents all faculty, part and full-time alike, at the 4 colleges. Instructors, nurses, counselors, and librarians are all counted among us. As many of you have probably heard by now, we start 2019 with a number of challenges. The district is looking into a legislative audit and has also requested that the Fiscal Crisis and Management Team, which you'll hear referred to as FCMAT, come to our district to help us with the financial woes that continue to plague the district. Many of these are things that the PFT has been discussing and pointing out to the administration and board for years. We're hopeful that with assistance from the state, the district can get a handle on the many basic functions it continues to bobble. Peralta went through a nearly identical process less than a decade ago and emerged from it in better shape. Governor Newsom's January budget proposal provides some potential good news, including large increases in funding for public education and a 3.6% cost of living adjustment. The PFT will fight for faculty money to go into faculty pockets where it was intended, instead of being rolled into the general budget as the district is attempting with this year's 2.7% COLA. PFT is fighting to get the district to do the right thing with this year's money, and will do the same with next year's. A fight made all the more urgent for faculty, particularly our newer members, by the soaring cost of living in the Bay Area. The other large issue facing our district is, of course, enrollment. Our district's enrollment has decreased every year since 2015, the last year that I could look up on the BI tool, and the decline will begin to significantly affect our budgeting soon. The PFT is concerned that our administration continues to respond by cutting classes. A class of 15 students provides enough revenue to pay for the average part-time instructor's salary. The colleges are open and overhead is already paid for, so why would we cut any class with more than 15 students? Also, and crucially, by turning away students, the district is both shirking its core mission and risking its financial future. FTES will remain the biggest part of college funding, even under our new funding model. And by reducing the number of students we serve now, Peralta will see its base enrollment drop, and that will mean less money going forward. It's also a curious way to balance the budget, considering that we just passed an extension to our parcel tax, money that Peralta promised taxpayers would be used to keep our classes open. The PFT continues to implore the district administration to think twice before making additional cuts and to truly put the educational needs of our students first. In closing, I'd like to express solidarity with the United Teachers of Los Angeles, who today embark on their 4th day of a strike, and also with the Oakland Educational Association, who are preparing for a similar difficult battle. We stand with these teachers who are fighting for the schools that their students deserve. PFT was out in force at last Saturday's OEA rally downtown and will continue to provide as much strong support as we can. The PFT is hosting a workshop this afternoon where we'll hear from members of our Executive Council about what's happening within the district. We'll be gathering at 3:45 in F201, and light refreshments will be provided. The PFT also invites all of you to join our contingent at the 3rd Annual Women's March in Oakland this Saturday. We'll be gathering at the PFT offices at 9 o'clock for coffee, donuts, and some sign making. And then we'll head over to the Merritt Amphitheater to join the rally in March around 9:30. We hope that all of you will join us. Thank you, and have a great day and rest of the semester.
Next up, thank you, is Donald Moore, President of the District Academic Senate.
Good morning. Happy New Year's to everybody. This morning, when I saw the Star Wars cranes, you know, I was thinking that one of the iconic things that I love about this city are these images that we invoke when we talk about Oakland. And for us faculty, it's our students. We care so deeply for our students. And I think when new people come, whether administrators or faculty or classified, when they come here, one of the things that they constantly talk about is how much we care for our students. And I think that through all of the stuff that we go through, I think that's a quality that we have and that we need to take ownership of and really give ourselves the love, right? That we are here and we are making a difference in people's lives. And I think that that's probably something that I know that as a Senate president, I lose sight of sometimes because I get boggled down with all of the different stuff that goes on. But I do hope that one of the things that people take away from these meetings, these flex days that we have, is that we're all in it together, and that we need to be able to work together. We need to show that love to one another, the respect to one another, and get the work done. And we're going to disagree, right? But I think all of us need to acknowledge that we are coming at it maybe from different perspectives, right? Nobody wants to sink Peralta. We all love our students and we want to do stuff. So I hope that the message that goes out today to administrators, to faculty, to classified, to students, is that we are all trying here to make each student be as successful as they want to be. And I think if that message could resonate, particularly this semester, I think that we would have achieved something. We're going to have a very, very difficult semester. Most of you in the classroom may or may not experience it, but it's going to have some major ramifications on us as we move forward. And I won't belabor the point in terms of what the presenters before had said, and ultimately when the chancellor comes up here and talks about the various issues that are besetting this district. But the issues are important. There are going to be disagreements, and we need to respect each other's viewpoints, right? We may not agree, but we need to respect it. And so as part of that, in terms of DAS, we are taking a particular position regarding the cuts that are going to be made. We are adamant that for every dollar that the colleges are going to have to cut, we want the district to cut 3. We make no bones about it. We will tell everybody about that. Okay. Now, that's not to say that we have, this negative about the district and all of the people who work there. That's not the issue. The issue is that we're bloated, and we really need to recognize that. Okay? And so as we move forward, we're going to work. We're going to work with FICMAT. We're going to work with the administrators. We're going to work with the classified, because we recognize the issues that the classified has gone on. We know that I was surprised to see Dale here fixing the microphone, because I go, Dale was gone because of the hourlies, right? And so now I'm going like, what's going on, right? All 300 hourlies. And so this place just has so many twists and turns to it that you have to take a while before you catch up with what's going on. So I don't know necessarily if it's just about individuals in key positions. I think, coming as an anthropologist and a cultural anthropologist, I see a lot of this in terms of systems and culture. And part of it is that when people don't pay bills and we get fire notices on the door of the theater, there's something fundamentally wrong that can't get executed. And part of that is we, and I'm talking about the collective we, need to have higher expectations of the people who are executing and the systems that it needs to go through in order for it to happen. I don't know all of the issues that prompted us not paying a bill, right? But fundamentally, we need to hold people and systems accountable. There needs to be transparency about it, right? And that's where we, in terms of DAS, try to put the light on and say and demand some level of transparency, okay? And it's crazy because I would rather worry about diversity in terms of our faculty. I would rather work on those kinds of issues. I would rather work on DE types of issues. I would rather work on a variety of different ones. But these bigger issues of accreditation, right? These bigger issues of the deficit that we're experiencing, all of those ones are the ones that we have to engage with. And we're concerned that every time we go and send a resolution to the board doesn't respond. But yet, in our policies, they're supposed to respond, and they haven't done so, okay? And part of it is that people don't know the policies, and they're basically ignoring the policies. And so that's something that we're going to work on this year, because with a new board majority, maybe, just maybe, they'll respond more. So those are the kinds of issues that we're looking forward to. We will constantly try to communicate to all of you about what's going on. We will try to alert people what the effects are going to be. In the next month and a half, we'll have a clear idea about what we're going to address in fall, because we have to make decisions about cuts. And so in order to give particularly our part-time faculty notice, if there's going to be any shrinkages there, we want to let people know early. We don't want to come in and make decisions 1 week before the fall starts, right? So those are the things I think all faculty have to hold us, DAS and PFT, accountable for, and say, no, we want to know what's going on. And so the expectation is that we, as your representatives, need to communicate. And so please hold me accountable and hold the chancellor, hold everybody accountable in terms of providing you with the necessary information. Thank you very much.
Can we give one more hand to all our reps? There's a lot of thankless work that goes into trying to lead from the classified, from Local 39, from the union and the different Senate ranks. And I think it's great to have them have a chance to speak. I want to walk really quickly through the day. If you missed the very beginning, the cards that I handed out are gratitude cards. So you should write someone's name down in Peralta who you want to thank for supporting you, and turn it into this basket up here, and we'll have the basket available afterwards. But really quickly, we did our shared governance. The rest of the day is a bit of an experiment. We're shortening the morning. We're going to have a talk from a few folks who I'll introduce in a second. The chancellor will then address us, and then we'll have a late morning workshop at 11 o'clock, a set of workshops. Please check out the agenda for them, and if we have time at the end, I'll walk through them a little bit more. And then there's actually a working lunch, and we will be delivering lunches to you. Hopefully. No, we will. It's going to be a bit of a logistical thing, so please be patient with lunches. And then after that, there are 2 afternoon workshop sessions. So please check out the agenda for those sessions. The idea is that rather than have you sit here all morning, that I want people out and to also honor a lot of the work that's happening out there. There's a lot of cool workshops. These are things that are happening, that people are doing. There's a lot of leadership that people are taking, and I wanted to highlight that. So that's why the day has been kind of redesigned in this way. What I want to do is this, for today, like last Flex and like the one before, we wanted to highlight some stuff that was going on already. Some leadership taken on by groups of faculty and other folks coming together to solve different problems. So today is really about equity and technology. We know that technology is both a core part of the work that the systems that we need to use. We're introducing new systems like Canvas, and there's a lot of new opportunities out there, and we have 2 groups that are going to speak. But before we get into that, before we hear about those projects, I think it's important that we sit and hear from a student's perspective. And so we have a very unique opportunity to have Corey Hollis, who's a former student trustee. Hold on, there's a longer list of things. He has been a crucial part of the distance education rollout team. I have a video of him kind of talking to students in my shell about how to kind of navigate it. So he's played that role, and he's just starting Cal today. In fact, he's going to speak, and then he's got to run to an orientation. And I was like, how are you feeling today? He's like, there's a lot going on. And I totally understand. So I want you to give a lot of love for Corey. He's going to come up and talk as he comes up. So thank you, Corey, for coming to speak.
Thank you. Say, good morning, Peralta family. How y'all doing? So during my stay here at Peralta District, I've had the chance to see education in many different perspectives, right? You can see the list. And one thing that I've gathered from, my stay in Peralta District was when I was working with the Distance Education Department, and we went to Orlando for the online learning consultorium to talk about the Equity Online Rubric, right? And as I'm looking through it and going through what I'm supposed to say upstage and stuff like that, it got me to thinking about how this online equity rubric is not just useful for online learning, because of course we know that the purpose of it is to close that gap between underrepresented students and online. But for this rubric is or could be used for any perspective or not any perspective, but for any portion of our education here at Peralta District, from administration to face-to-face classes or whatever, what have you. So, with that, I wanted to give you an example of a face-to-face class that I was in that points to a particular category on this list. Right? For confidentiality's sake, I'm not going to mention the name of the teacher or the name of the class, but I'm going to take you back. So, I was in this class, right? And we take quizzes every single week, about 7-question quiz that kind of goes over the lesson plan for what we were talking about during the week. This particular quiz we were taking was going over the differences between denotations and connotations. Denotations being technically a defined or specific meaning of a word, connotations being like a subjective or social meaning of a word, right? So going through this test, knocking off my little answers and shooting down, and to get to this question on a test. And it goes like this, right? The words girl, chick, and slut are A, denotations, B, connotations, C, denotations and connotations, or D, neither denotations or connotations, right? So I'm going to ask y'all to participate with me real quick, right? You see, by show of hands, right, the words girl, chick, and slut are A, denotations, no? B, connotations, no? C, denotations and connotations. Really? Wow. Or D, neither denotations or connotations. That's interesting. It's not exactly what I was expecting to see from the crowd. But either way, I get through this test, looking at these things, and turning in my test, and the teacher goes over the questions to the test during the class. So like he gets up stage and he's talking to us and stuff like that, and he goes over his answers, and he gets to the answer that I was just referring to you guys about girl, chick, and slut. And he stands up there with confidence in front of the class and says that the answer to this question was C, denotations and connotations. Which is kind of funny because there are a lot of people that raise their hands for that question. But that is to say that the words girl, chick, and slut mean the same thing, right? Most of the people in this class, like we're sitting over here looking at each other like, oh, he can't be for real. Wow, really? What's going on with it? No. So there was a couple of students that raised their hands and said, no, teacher, I think that the answer is D. And he stood up there with great confidence, like, no, it's not. This is da-da-da-da-da, y'all blah, blah, yakety, smackety, da-da-da-da-da, and all this, and defending his answer to the bone. So I made it my duty to stay after class and have a face-to-face with this instructor and let him know, in my mind, how I felt that this answer was not only incorrect logically, but how this answer was also very disrespectful to the people in that class. Like, how could you say that to the students, right? So through conversation and dialogue, I finally got him to, I'm kind of giving away a little bit of information. But anyway, through dialogue and conversation, we got to a point where he was able to submit and say, okay, I was wrong, and I will give everybody that had that answer on the test, credit for what they said. And the next class period, he apologized to the class. But the point to that is, when it comes to these categories on this online equity rubric, human biases that are not acknowledged by the teacher or recognized by the teacher don't belong in the classroom, right? And that's just one of many things that I've seen throughout my stay. But there are many ways that we can find connection with equity from this rubric that we see in front of us today, like providing content with meaning or relevancy to their current lives that are going on at this present point in time. I would hope that there will be classes in Peralta District and, say, poli-sci that are having conversations about the current shutdown that has happened in America that won't stop until they build a wall that blocks Americans from America, right? Stuff like that. Or having conversations about how, the strikes that are going down in LA between teachers and things of that nature. Or say financial economics classes that are having discussions and conversations about the current measures that we've been gifted at this district and asking students how they feel about how those funds should be utilized, right? Bringing them into the conversation. Or say, like, I would encourage any class to give extra credit to students that would go to student government meetings or to Peralta board meetings or shared governance meetings and bringing back reports to the class to let them know what's going on in their campus and around. Or say leave 5 minutes before or after class so that students can stand up in front of the class and let them know like all the events and resources and stuff like that are going on the campus. Because we know that when it comes to human fears, one of the biggest ones is stage fright. And getting students used to that is actually building on their character, right? The purpose behind this is, like, when it comes to equity, we want to create access for all students, because when we create access for all people to participate in education, then we create a conversation and a knowledge base that has the diversity to change the world for a better place for the next generations and generations to come. And that's the purpose behind equity to me, so that we can all participate in the global conversation. With that, actually, like I said, I do have to jump out of here and go straight to this orientation. But I wanted to let y'all know that my stay here was very rich. I enjoyed being here with you all and learning from administration on down to the students. And I can't thank y'all enough for what y'all have done for me. And I'm going to take everything that I've had from Peralta District and take it to the next level, bringing the eagle to the bear, if you will. Yeah. So I thank you all, and y'all have a great Flex Day. Say.
Amazing, amazing. To kind of bring us in, the next group up is the Open Educational Resources Group. Heather Dodge, Jenny Yap, and Andrew Lamb, Andrew Park. So I'm going to invite them to come up. One of the reasons that I was excited about this is that they've been working together on grants. We have librarians here thinking about textbooks, and the energy that they have in meeting and thinking about all of these things in the same way with the distance ed community, I think is really, really amazing. And so I've learned a lot just by even trying to put this presentation together, and learned how thoughtful we've been at kind of pushing and pulling at each other and trying to figure out how to make a presentation happen to share this great work that's going on. So please give them a hand. I'm going to introduce Heather Dodge to kick us off.
Oh, hey everybody, I'm Heather Dodge, and I'm a librarian at Berkeley City College. And I just want to resonate a couple things that Corey said in closing when he was speaking, and he talked a little bit about the idea that access is really important to equity. And I guess that's a feeling of mine as we sort of deal with some of these bigger issues that are happening on our campuses, that we remember that access is one of the main goals of our campuses and of our district, to make sure that education, our classes, our services are accessible to students. And so I think that a lot of my feelings and my sort of connection to equity is rooted in that idea of access, and that is sort of at the heart of what OER is all about. And I think there's a misperception that OER stands for online educational resources, but the O in OER actually stands for open. And that resonates with me as well, because I want our campuses to stay open to faculty, to students, to anyone who comes in and wants to learn. So sort of a general definition of OER is that OER materials are materials that you can find in the public domain or that are licensed through a Creative Commons license that are allowed to be reused and repurposed and remixed and adapted for your classes for free. So a lot of people think of them as being free textbooks, and sometimes that's what it is, but other times it might be using videos from Khan Academy, or it might be finding an openly licensed or a public domain book and using that in your class in lieu of using a traditional textbook. So I came to BCC, this is the first community college I'd worked at about 6 years ago, and I was very naive about the costs of textbooks for students. So I started doing some research when I found out about OER, because Jenny and I were passed along a grant from an administrator, and this administrator said, I think you guys would be kind of interesting to lead this because it has to do with books. And so I started doing a little bit of research about the cost of textbooks for students, and I just want to get a show of hands. How many people think for the average nationwide community college student that a college student pays about $500 a year for their textbooks? And this is for full-time students. Okay, you guys are not as naive as I was. Okay, how about between 500 and 1,000? Okay, yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, how about 1,000 and 1,500? Raise your hand. Okay, yeah. So actually, an average full-time student pays about $1,400 for their textbooks in a year. And this is interesting because it is about $200 to $300 more than a student pays at a four-year private or public institution. So community college students are actually, on a national average, paying more for their books than for those that are in a private school or in a four-year. I'm a librarian, so I have a citation down at the bottom here, and I got that information from the IPEDS data. So I really was finding that textbook costs were feeding the equity gap, and I was seeing this on a day-to-day basis in the library. One day I went to our student worker who was working at the circulation desk, and I saw she had just a handmade list of student emails and phone numbers, and I said, oh, what's this? And she said, these are students that are waiting for a textbook, and I'm gonna call them when the textbook comes back in because they're all trying to study for a test, and we only have 4 copies of this textbook, and they're all checked out. So I started doing a little bit more investigation and found that students were sometimes waiting hours for textbooks to come back into the library, and that there was a direct correlation between the cost of textbooks and the amount of times that they circulated in the library. So that was very disturbing to me because it indicated that students were desperate and needing these materials, and many of them were likely not purchasing textbooks and relying on a library copy to get through their classes. Another thing that was interesting is as I took over as department chair, I found that we were spending about 1/3 of our budget every year, our third of our books budget, refreshing textbooks, and that is not traditional for most academic libraries. Most academic libraries don't purchase textbooks as part of their collection development policy, but it's really integral to ours because our students need access to those resources. So I started feeling like, wow, what is this whole textbook issue? And what I found is that from 1977 to 2015, textbooks have risen, the cost has risen over 1,000%. That's 3 times the national or the inflation level, and more than any other consumer product. And that about 2/3 of students do not purchase textbooks for a class because of the cost. So this is adapted from another slide presentation. And I don't like actually citing slide presentations, but that's just my pet peeve. So my beginnings of OER really began in this idea of equity and access. But as I sort of moved into managing this grant, which was basically to provide faculty professional development and information about OER so that they could make an informed decision about whether or not they could adopt an OER text for their class. So I started talking with faculty and presenting and just as a librarian doing what librarians I think do best, which is search and discovery. I started working with faculty to help them find and adopt OER textbooks, and then we started this wonderful collaboration with College of Alameda and Andrew Park to have faculty work in disciplinary groups to find materials together. And this sparked this, I'm saying sparked joy for me. If anyone's watching Tidying Up on Netflix, if there's anything in my job that is sparking joy right now, it is OER, and that is definitely in my keep pile when it comes to my day-to-day. So when I started seeing faculty work together, it was this amazing moment where I realized that not only were we meeting students in terms of their needs around equity, but we were also forging new paths for new pedagogies and new ways of presenting materials to students. So it was sort of this nice collaboration that we were able to form. I think that was an unexpected piece in terms of my experience, and I think some of my other colleagues' experiences as well, was just how wonderful it was to be able to work collaboratively on content, on how we present materials to students. And the other thing that's fun and interesting about OER is, unlike a traditional textbook, let's say you have some of those homogeneous examples or test questions that you don't feel quite resonate with your students, similar to what Corey presented just before. The example I thought he presented was really good. You can take that out. Let's say there's an image that is a representation of a family that doesn't look like the families you know that our students have. You can take that image out and find a new image and replace it. If you're reading through a chapter and you don't like the examples that they're giving, with OER materials, for the most part, you can take that example out and you can put your own example in. You can also remix materials. So let's say that you don't like how one chapter of a textbook presents a certain concept. You can take that chapter out and put in a different chapter or write your own. So it's been this amazing way of building and creating new materials. So I don't want to speak too much more about it. I'm going to show a really short video with some of the faculty perspectives. So you'll see some faces that you recognize here. These are faculty that have either adopted low cost, zero textbook cost, or OER materials. And they're going to speak a little bit about that. Oh, ooh, wow, Master from the back. Can you start playing this video? Thank you. What do I have to do? Do I have to do something?
I'm Daniel Najar. I teach math. I've been here 12 years.
My name is Jennifer Fowler. I teach communication.
I'm Vancing Nguyen. I teach math.
My name is Melina Bersaman. I'm a psychology instructor.
My name is Maria Guzman, and I teach art history.
My name is Andrew Park. I teach physics.
I'm Charlotte Lee, and I teach political science and global studies.
My name is Katie Bowe, and I teach geography.
My name is Ben, and I teach physics.
My name is Trish Nelson, and I teach English.
So I use an online text at a website called OLI. The text was designed by the Carnegie Foundation.
For my cultural class, for example, I use an e-text that was developed from a professor out of Cal State Northridge.
OpenText has a textbook called University Physics, which matches the topics perfectly.
I didn't find a single textbook where I liked all of the chapters. And so what I did is I curated my material, which was great. They were reading all the material that I thought was relevant and interesting.
Students not being able to afford a textbook really goes out the window when I have OER.
The flexibility. I can change articles based on what we're talking about in class, what students are interested in.
OER materials, or putting together a ZTC course, allows for a lot of flexibility in what I can assign students.
Students have also remarked that they like the quality of the material and appreciate the numerous formats that it comes available.
I found that 3 weeks into the semester, when we started taking quizzes, students still didn't have their books. Their financial aid checks hadn't been cut yet.
About 2/3 of the way, I found out she didn't have the text in my class. And I said, but this is your third time. What did you do the first 2 times? She said, I never could afford to buy it then. I didn't have it the first 2 times.
My second semester here at College of Alameda, I had one student in particular who was extremely bright, extremely capable, but I noticed that this particular student was getting, less than ideal quiz scores. The student eventually confided in me that, they hadn't bought the textbook, they weren't going to buy the textbook, sort of winging it with Googling things and looking things up on Wikipedia. And this was a student that I know could have gotten at least a B, if not an A. And this was my equity moment.
writing quiz questions or taking quiz questions from different test banks and activities, that was challenging because I was used to, quite honestly, having the publisher provide that information to me, having to gather all of that assessment material on my own. That was very, very time consuming.
I started looking for OER materials about a year ago, so last January. There wasn't as much available as there was even 3 or 4 months after that. Don't be afraid to borrow content from other disciplines. For example, for my persuasion class, from philosophy or logic. So I found a few open source logic textbooks or resources. And so I was able to pull some content from similar or like disciplines.
Choose a course that you're excited about, and also consider the cost of the textbook.
Be patient, and that it is worth it. That whatever time that you need to put, whatever slight issues that might come up, it'll all be worth it.
I would say students are really appreciative of courses that are ZTC. They love it when they can download materials from the internet, or if it's an OER textbook, that they can get it at zero cost.
Just dive in and try it. You can simply select one chunk of your course material and adopt OER for that. I think that you'll find it challenging, fun, and a great way to engage students.
Okay, I'm going to have Jenny Yap, another librarian from BCC, come up and talk a little bit about the impact that we've made as a district so far for students.
Hi, everybody. Can I give a shout out to Andrew Park, who actually created that video? He edited, filmed a lot of people. And I also want to put a plug in for a workshop that Andrew is leading at, I think after the session at 11 o'clock. So he's going to continue talking about the OER conversation. A lot of other OER folks will be there as well. So I wanted to show you some of the impact that our work in OER has had on the district so far. This is a snapshot of the data from this past fall, 2018. And so a lot of us have been doing OER work for only about 2 years now. I think College of Alameda did 1 year. So we haven't collected all of the data, but we did have pretty complete data for all 4 colleges. So during the fall, we had 84 sections that were OER. How does this work? Thank you. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit. And then this impacted 2,665 students, which totaled over $250,000. So that's a lot of savings. So imagine if we kept going, how much money, millions and millions of dollars, will be saved for our students. So our impact can continue, and the great thing about OER is because all of these materials live in the public domain, they're going to be there for as long as we want to keep them up there. So in the spring, 2019, students will be able to search for classes using a textbook cost options. So there's like a little feature in Passport. And if they see that symbol, they will know that that class doesn't require any textbook costs. So that's a free cost for them. And what we did is we estimated how many courses at Peralta next spring will be zero textbook cost. And this is the numbers. So this is compared from fall to the next semester later. Now, a lot of these courses that are going to be zero textbook costs are actually OER as well. So that's a slight difference. OER is open educational resources. Zero textbook costs is anything else that's free. But I think what's important to me about this is a lot of our conversations about OER when we started a few years ago has really laid the groundwork for a bigger movement towards zero textbook costs and lowering textbook costs in general. So when Heather and I started, we started, talking about how much it costs for students and, what a barrier that was and what we experienced in the library. And that got a lot of faculty interested. So we had a lot of folks approach us and say, I want to find an OER book for my course. I'm looking at you, Jenny Goff, because I haven't been able to find an ASL one yet, but hopefully it'll happen soon. Yeah. So, we've been looking as Heather said, for other OER texts, and we've been getting really good at it, but more and more stuff is coming out there. And all of us at the district are actually contributing to that. So there's some folks at College of Alameda and at BCC who are creating their own open source textbooks that they're going to share with, all of the community colleges out there. So what's great about OER is it's also a really great community as well. All 4 colleges were able to do this work through special grants, and we all know that grants will eventually end. So I think it's really important that we start to institutionalize OER work at PCCD, because when those grants dry up, I'm sort of like, oh no, how are we gonna do more OER work if I have to do all my librarian work? And it'll be hard, but if we can get some help from the district, we can make that more possible. So some of our biggest supporters in our OER work have been faculty who teach online. So a lot of faculty really love OER because they can import a lot of book chapters into Canvas, and students will have that book from day one. So we've been talking about addressing equity through textbook costs, but the District Office of Distance Ed will talk about it through the lens of the equity rubric. So I'd like to introduce Inger Stark and Chelsea Cohen.
For those of you who don't know us, my name is Inger Stark, and I'm the District Distance Education Coordinator. I'm also a faculty in sociology at Laney College. And Chelsea Cohen is the Distance Ed Coordinator here at Laney College, and she's faculty in English as a second language. Okay, so Scott asked us to give you a very fast introduction to the Peralta Equity Rubric. So I'm going to tell you just quickly how it came into existence, and then Chelsea's going to give you an example of how it can be used. So the Equity Rubric grew out of an initiative at the district office where the DE committee, which I have been chair for a couple of years, and hope not to be for much longer, by the way, made a commitment a few years ago that if this district wants to grow online education, which it does, all 4 colleges do, there's a big need for online education, and that we shouldn't do that without attending to what we know to be opportunity gaps that exist between face-to-face classes and online environments. So the numbers up here are numbers that were pulled from spring semester, and what we know is that the general student population in Peralta, and this is the top numbers are for all of Peralta, that students in this district pass classes at a rate of 68% in face-to-face classes. In all of the online classes, they pass at only 65%. Now, I will tell you that that disparity is actually better than it is across many community colleges in the state. So overall, Peralta is doing better, but it's not good and it's not acceptable. So the Distance Ed Committee looked at a number of the data that were demonstrating that disproportionately impacted student populations were unevenly being affected in online environments. And that if Peralta wants to grow online education, we must figure out how to structure and build in systems to support all of our students so that everybody succeeds and passes the classes that they want to at the same rate. So that was our goal. One of the initiatives, will you switch to the next slide, or am I supposed to do that? Yeah. Okay, was to design a program, our own unique teaching program, which we call the Online Equity Program, where faculty, staff, or administrators can go through a 6-week training and learn about the kinds of interventions in an online environment that actually change those numbers and bring all students closer to passing classes at the same rate. One of the assignments was for people to design sort of an equity module and talk about what can they do in their courses in order to improve the way that they serve students. We built a rubric for that assignment, and then one day, actually, Chelsea looked at me and said, we should turn this into a rubric for the whole class, for all of classes. And so what we did was we designed the rubric that hopefully you have in your hands as a rubric initially for online classes, but as Corey told you, it can really be used for all aspects of an educational institution. All 8 of the criteria can be, and we would argue should be used as we set up technology and students have access to technology, as we design and set up all of the contact points for students, the support, all the way from welcome centers, all the way to admissions and records, granting them their transcripts, and in pedagogy. So the next slide. So what we did is we built the rubric. This is based on research-based interventions, not anecdotal, gee, this would be fun, we think this might work. What we built the 8 criteria based on research-proven interventions that close those opportunity gaps so that disproportionately impacted students have the opportunities to experience education in all of its ways, in ways that bring them across the finish line and they pass their classes at the same rates as the general student population. What have I forgotten to say? Oh, part of the reason we built the rubric was because talking about these things isn't enough, and we wanted to create a tool that could be used in the hands of administrators, staff, and faculty as a way to sort of see and hold themselves accountable to the criteria. So the rubric has been, we've presented it as a team. Corey was part of our team. Chelsea's been part of the team. We presented it last June in Anaheim at the Online Teaching Conference. We presented it in November at the Online Learning Consortium in Florida. Chelsea's presenting it at one of the @ONE First Fridays in February, so if you want to learn more about it, you could do that. And I'm presenting it to the OEI Equity Work Group in 2 weeks. And I don't say that to boast about it, I say that to tell you that we really believe this is an opportunity for our district to lead the way in structuring in the way we design our support for students, our technology, and our pedagogy in a really innovative way that gets closer to being an equitable institution. I want to tell you that the rubric that you have in your hands was originally designed by a small group of people, but I want to let you know that it was designed by classified staff, Alex Hernandez, who is the lead tech on our help desk at the district, and Srijana Tumu, who is, as many of you know, the wizard of our learning management systems, formerly Moodle and now Canvas, and Chelsea and the consultant Kevin Kelly that we worked with as well. Is that good? Okay, so Chelsea is going to show you a very small snapshot of what it might look like. She's going to focus on the pedagogy portion of it and show you a quick example of how this could bring innovation, equitable innovation into your teaching. I also want to let you know you'll tell them about the workshop. Okay.
Yeah, here, switch.
Oh.
Okay. Is this gonna stay? Hello? Can you hear me? Okay, so I am going to talk about how to actually apply this rubric in your teaching and just give you a couple of examples. So if you see on the rubric, F3 is images and representation. And ideally, we're striving for the exemplary column as well. So ideally, images and representations would reflect broad diversity, and course activities would encourage students to analyze representations and stereotypes throughout the course. So what might this actually look like in the classroom? So one instructor, she had a textbook that she really liked. The information was valuable, but she realized that the imagery was very limited, biased, and didn't represent her students. So what did she do? She brought it up with her students. She mentioned that it made her feel really uncomfortable, the images themselves, and then she facilitated a dialogue around imagery and how students might have experienced this in other classes, but also outside in the world, in media, etc. And after this, she encouraged her students to then write letters to the publisher and express why inclusivity mattered to them. So this was an example of F3 and an exemplary example. Also, kind of in conjunction with what Heather was saying, if you're using an open source text, you could have your students actually change the images themselves so that it reflected the students in the classroom. So that's just one example, and I'm going to share one more. Is Anna Cortuzio in the house? Okay, my colleague Anna actually developed this activity, and it's quite popular now. This addresses diversity and inclusion in the rubric, which states, course content, activities, and instructor statements consistently demonstrate that diversity is valued in the course. So what might that look like? So this activity is an icebreaker. Anna creates a Google map for the entire class, and she asks students to place a pin where they come from and add some pictures or video, and then a couple of interesting or unique facts about their hometowns. And after that, students are then asked to take a little tour of the world and engage in dialogue with each other about where they come from, if they have questions, if they have anything in common with each other. And so this really facilitates connection between the students and clearly expresses that all students' unique lived experiences are valued in the course. And do you think, Anna teaches ESOL like I do you think this can only be done in an ESOL class? It could be done in any discipline. A math teacher mentioned that they might have their students do the same exact activity, but just shift the question a little bit. How has math been used in your upbringing or in your unique culture? And yeah, people still will come from many diverse areas. In our classes, they really do come from all over the world. So that's it. Do you want to switch to the next slide? If you're interested in kind of delving deeper into this rubric with us, at 11 o'clock we're going to be talking about it in F202 and helping you develop more activities and talking about how you can apply this in your teaching, but also how we can apply it in our student services and in our IT as well. And tomorrow, there will be repeat sessions at Merritt and at Laney, and you can also contact your Canvas DE coordinator if you want to learn more or check out our DE website through the district. So I think that's all.
The only other thing I wanted to say in closing again is that while this grew out of distance ed, it's applicable to all aspects of our institution. All of the things on the rubric are completely relevant for face-to-face teachers and face-to-face classrooms, hybrid, in student services, and the implementation of technology. The only other thing I want to say is I know Corey had to leave, but I just wanted to tell you again what an unbelievable opportunity we've had to hear from that young man. He has seen this district from so many visions, and he was integrally involved in recommending not only changes to the rubric and even changes in the language in rubric, but he was part of helping us roll it out. He had hoped to begin this semester at UC Berkeley, continuing his employment at Peralta, but he was released in December because of the problems with short-term temporary employees, and he didn't learn that till December. So he was very gracious to come today, and I just wanted again to, even though he's not here, to publicly thank him for the input that he's had as our district, as part of the Black Student Union, as part of the Associated Students, as a trustee, as a student, and he was unbelievably valuable to us in the distance education team. So thank you again, Corey.
I want to just thank you to both of these groups that came in. What I really loved about these two presentations is that you start with these things that we kind of know exist in the world, OER, Canvas, and distance education. We know we're rolling that stuff out. And as they work together and begin to see how things are fitting together, like in OER, they're actually changing pedagogy in textbooks. In distance education, they went from building or helping kind of roll out Canvas to developing an equity rubric that looks like not just at online classes, but face-to-face classes and other materials. And I think it's important to know that no matter what kind of work we're doing, that we're always kind of engaged in how do we improve our work with students, how do we continue to kind of raise each other up and make each other better. And so I really want to appreciate them for coming up to speak. Some of them, I know it's hard to come up here, and I want to, if you look at all the workshops, the hope is that people who are doing the work in the field will eventually come up here and share the work and that we can honor that work. So last, I just want to say thank you, and let's honor the work that they've done and all their colleagues that have put it together. Thank you. And before, there's one little interlude that I have. I met Aldane through Janine Greer, who I've been working closely with. Janine arranged an amazing event called Solidarity and Mental Health. Aldane was our MC. This is a student video on him. And just to kind of give some hype for another workshop that's happening at 11, I think Roger Porter, Kimberly King, and Janine Greer have all done amazing, amazing events that are for faculty, for students, and for the community. And they're going to debrief a little bit about what that's like. And I just wanted to introduce this little video, partially because it's student-made, and it's about a student, just to hear the story before we go into the Chancellor's address. So if you don't mind starting the video, we'll hear just a little bit about Aldane.
On any given day, how many things have gone wrong in your life? Just one random day. So many things, right? Like, oh my God, I got up late. Oh no, I missed that call. Oh no, I missed BART. I didn't get the score that I wanted. So on any given day, many things are going to go wrong. My name is Aldane Walters. I'm from a tropical country. It's like summer all the time in Jamaica. I came to the Bay Area in 2017. At home, you're walking down the street, you say hi to everybody. You say good morning to everybody. Here, I'm saying good morning to people.
It worked really well when we tested this out, so you know how it goes. Make it smaller. I think what we'll do is, can we pause and then.
And they're like, why are you talking to me? In my first few months here, quite honestly, I felt super lonely because I have no family here. So I was, it was kind of sad because, again, there's that difference between how we interact in my culture and how we just talk to strangers. But here, that's not really a thing. You stick to your own crew, you mind your own business, you move from one task to the other. So it was kind of difficult breaking through that. It's a lot. School started and I was just sinking. I was just like, what's going on? And I was feeling stressed and pressured. Being an international student, trying to survive here in the US, I got to make sure I passed these classes because we pay over 5 times. It's about 7 times in terms of tuition. And then I'm thinking, oh, I need to go to that part-time job on campus so I can make some money to eat. I'm thinking about all of these issues and not necessarily my mental health. I had to just understand that, yeah, I'm new to this space. It's a thing. Yes, people are different here than I'm used to. It's a thing. And get over that anxiety first. Secondly, one of the main things that has helped me is finding a community of people that I can rally around. So I go to church here, so I have a great church community. So if you can find like a community of friends or family to just wrap around, that would be great. And I guess the third thing would be, there is so much happening here in the Bay Area, so many resources available for different things. Like for instance, if I needed to talk to somebody to get over that anxiety, I could go to the wellness center or go to a counselor and try something new, just see what's out there. So I guess those are the things that helped me to overcome just the newness of the Bay Area. when I mention the Wellness Center to people, lots of BCC students are like, what? We have that? Where is that, man? Oh, it's down the street. I'm in charge of the operation at the BCC Food Pantry and I guess main food insecurity ambassador there.
Free food, Berkeley City College students, faculty.
Many people just cannot afford to live in the Bay Area, and I think it helps not only local students but international students, and it does not only help physically but it helps mentally, as students no longer have to be completely concerned with food security or what they're going to eat for that week. So, disclaimer, I am not a mental health professional, okay? I'm just a youth who hangs out around conscious people and who likes to observe the world. You know what? If you see me and you want to talk to me, yes, I'm totally open to, just having conversations. I have conversations all the time. Don't forget to have fun. Don't be so hung up on getting it right that you don't enjoy the ride.
All right, let's give a hand to the Wellness Center, Aldane, and to the student video director. I'd like to invite the chancellor up to speak. Just so you know, Aldane, also, I just walked into the international office, and there he was. And he greeted me with the same kind of energy that he has in the video, and it's amazing to meet him. He has a radio show also, so he's going to be broadcasting stuff, and hopefully you'll have a chance to catch him. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce the chancellor for his chancellor address, Joel Aguirre.
Thank you, Scott. So, Scott, I think it's probably more than 30 seconds now. Yeah. Okay. So I have been reading a lot about the civil rights movement, especially the writings of an icon of the civil rights movement, Ambassador Andrew Young. And this week, I read about boycotts and protests. And one of the things that he said is if boycotts are targeted to specific injustices, they almost always work. But you shouldn't boycott before you attempt to communicate. The nonviolence mantra is investigation, negotiation, demonstration, or boycotts, or marches, or turning your back, and finally, reconciliation. Investigation, negotiation, demonstration, and finally, reconciliation. You have to do all four to make it work, Andrew Young, former ambassador of the UN. So I hope that the boycott was good. I hope that we can do negotiation, communication, and reconciliation. Welcome to Flex. I'm glad that we are here. Happy New Year 2019. One of the things that I do on a regular basis is if I go to a place and I see young people, I tend to talk with them and ask about their educational journey and what have you. And one of these days, I was at a restaurant, and we had a very excellent waitress. And so we started asking her about education. I'm going to ask her to come forward and deliver a special message. As Jasmine, please come forward, Jasmine Bravo. When I started talking to Jasmine Bravo, she shared a story with me that I felt was extremely important for all of you to hear, and here she is.
Thank you for having me here today. My name is Jasmine Bravo Contreras, and I had the pleasure of taking Professor Alsher's chemistry class in the spring of 2013. By pleasure, I mean that I walked into that classroom scared, cold, just like I am right now. College-level chemistry had a reputation for being brutally difficult. I knew that for me, this was going to be the first truly challenging class of my college career. And I was really dreading it. I remember Miss Alsher telling everyone that the class would be difficult from the first day. And let me tell you, she was right. I seemed to have a significant problem with significant figures. That's a chemistry joke. Up until that point, I had never attended a professor's office hours because the professors I had before were just not that approachable. But Miss Alsher, she was completely different. She was sweet, genuine, positive, quirky, and just so easy to talk to. Obviously, I wasn't the only one that thought so, because she always had this long, new iPhone-style types of lines. The office hours would get so packed that we would have to relocate to the notorious Big Table. I witnessed how Professor Alsher wouldn't leave campus until everyone's questions were answered. And it seemed like such a genuine gesture of her passion for us. We would stay in the chemistry lab so late that by the time we finally left, the sun had set, and we would have to leave in safety groups so we wouldn't get lost in the dark parking lot or eaten by raccoons or anything like that. But not only was she there for me academically, she also provided me with the emotional support in my personal life outside of school. I could apply what I had learned from her even outside of the classroom, which I think is the greatest compliment that I can give her. It might sound like a cliche, but the good teachers really do advise you beyond the subjects that they educate. From early on, Ms. Alsher helped me squash my fears. There would be no fires. Okay, I did start one fire. She acknowledged the difficulty of the course and was committed to doing the very thing she does so well, teaching. And she did it with saintly patience, good humor, and she never imposed her ego on the class. This woman is a perfect example of how to transform the challenging and often impersonal world of academia into something as relatable and human as it is intellectual. Not only was Pinar available for her students, she somehow managed time to help save the planet. She helps organize Peralta's annual EcoFest Sustainability Festival. She also encourages all of her students to lead a more sustainable lifestyle and be conscious about how our actions affect the planet. She cares about us and our future. Not every professor does, or at least they aren't good as showing it with passion and personal sacrifice as she does. Many former students of Pinar I have talked to agree that our experiences in her class have left positive impacts on us. Not only are we masters of stoichiometry and thermodynamics, she encourages how to be better students and even better people. What I learned in her class helped me succeed when I transferred to UC Santa Cruz and helped me earn my Bachelor's of Science in Biology. If it wasn't for her encouraging us to challenge our fears and step out of our comfort zones, I probably wouldn't be here standing with you with the degree that I have, or even just talking, because I'm really bad at talking. Thank you. The thought of delivering a speech in front of all these people was intimidating, scary even, but so was chemistry at one point. And what better way to prove that I learned an important lesson from this wonderful professor than to get up here and demonstrate just that. So here I am. I want to thank Professor Alsher, wherever she is, I'm not sure if she's here, on behalf of myself and all the students, thousands of students before me, for her dedication to each and every one of us. I can't think of anyone more deserving of this honor, and I'm personally very honored that I get to be the one up here standing to say that. So, in closing, chemistry is really damn tough, but Pinar, you're awesome, and you teach us that word tougher. So, thank you.
Pinar, are you here? We wanted to surprise her, and she surprised us. Jasmine said that she was coming into the building. Pinar was heading the other way. So we do have a Chancellor's Award for her, a bottle of wine, as well as a $100 gift certificate to Scott's, where she will be served by Jasmine. Yeah. So again, Jasmine, thank you so much. You were outstanding. Thank you. And we have Irene Sitch, who was an assistant for Pinar. Also, when she heard we were going to recognize her, she wanted to be here as well. Would you stand up, Irene, so we can recognize you? Well, where has the time gone? For me, August 2015 to January 17th, 2019, talked to you a lot about the new Peralta way, respect and encouragement for one another. And to me, there is no other or better way. We must advance. And our students depend on us for a better system. And I think that the example you hear from Jasmine today is a good indication of what we have done and what we need to continue to do and to do a whole lot more of. There have been a lot of calls from many of you for outside folks to come and look at what's going on at Peralta. So we have invited FICMAT. They're supposed to work with us from January to December 2019. We also will have the IEPI, which is organization that's going to help us with enrollment management. And we have the Joint Legislative Auditor that we've also invited. They're exploring what they could do. As we look at the trustees, the officers, the board officers and I, as we looked at what each one will do, they still will not be able to go deep into our finances for us. So we want to also invite a team that would go deeper into our finances and see how things are going with us. I think we owe that clarity to everyone, and we are determined to make it happen. But we want for you to be intimately involved in that so that once and for all, or for a long time, we can have some clarity and we can answer some questions for you. We have clarity on our spending for the parcel tax. The voters show a lot of confidence in Peralta by renewing our parcel tax with 85.4% of the votes. And that is even with an argument on the ballot to not support it. So that is really a high level of confidence in not you or me, but in us as a system, in the work that we do, in the work that our community needs from us. We have a bond of $800 million, and that is really half of the cost of what we need to repair our infrastructure. Our needs, according to the Facilities Master Plan, is $1.6 billion. So as we discuss what to do, how much to go after, I said we should go after half of it, and then the voters, 75% of the vote, approved $800 million for us. It's going to be really important. That's why the work of FICMAT and all of that is important. It's going to be important for us to implement the bond in the best way possible so that we can go after the other half of the $1.6 billion, and by showing the community that indeed we can handle those funds. We also have almost $30 million in state facility support for the library at Laney, as well as Child Development Center at Merritt College. And we have a federal support of $3 million, first ever for us, to support the aviation program at the College of Alameda. I think that's really great legacy to provide the best facilities possible for our students. We still have a lot to do. Success of our students, we have great stories, but we have a whole lot more that we can do. We need to continue to work on closing the gap of achievement among different ethnicities. We have talked about a lot of things, but closing the achievement gap is not one that we have talked a lot about. We need to intensify our support services for our students. That's the reason why solving the issue of the hourly employees is something that's extremely important to us, because they add a lot to the support that we provide for our students. We need to build a real community where peace is honored between faculty leadership, administrative leadership, and staff leadership. Real community where peace is honored, where peace is honored. We need to support and honor longevity of authentic leadership. And when I say leadership, I don't just mean administrative leadership, but leadership in general at our colleges and the district office. We need to seek, develop, and support competent leadership. We need to enhance our existing resources. We need to make action verbs of the following nouns so that they're not just mere words that we say, but they actually mean something. Diversity, equity, inclusion, and honoring differences. Let's make active verbs out of these words. We also need to be careful. As I look at us, we sometimes want to honor us in one way and then destroy us another way. There is a former trustee who would often say, we are the place where we hand you the ball and then we also tackle you. That is not productive for us. So destroying the likeness of what we profess to build is not a smart thing for us to do. On the budget front, we have some potential good news. And by the way, these slides were made before we knew there was going to be protests and all of that. We have the potential to take the time to develop a reasonable and realistic budget plan, and with the invitation of FICMAT to come help us in a deeper look into our budget, we definitely have the opportunity to do that. The student-centered formula is getting fine-tuned, and it looks like it's going to work even better in our favor. It worked for us because we were the only district in the Bay 10 to have received an increase in our funding this year. But the way that things are being fine-tuned, it looks like we're going to do even better. One area that we have done extremely well in, we need to continue to improve in, as we don't have a lot of new students coming from other sources, is dual enrollment. That has provided quite a bit of funding for us. There's increase in COLA, as you heard earlier, that's coming in the new budget. And there's a 3-year average enrollment that is higher than we had expected. And with more accurate MIS data that we have provided to the state, we are seeing an increase in our budget. So we'll have more to share with you. I wanted to make sure that I share this with you as soon as I can so that we can stop the rumors that are likely to go out once words leak. Now, what does all of that mean going forward? We did project a reduction of $12 million in 5 years to the accreditation agency. It means that we're not going to need to make that cut. Do we have more money to spend? No, but we have less to cut or to find. We still need to maintain good fiscal order by not overspending in some of the areas where we have. We have greater assurance of continued services to our students and employment of our faculty and our staff. So we do have positive momentum moving forward. Hopefully that will result in less negative press for us, because whether or not you want to believe it, the negative press does not help us. We did well with the election. It was really, really scary. We did extremely well, even with the negative press, but let's not do that to ourselves. More freedom to plan for a brighter future for our students is what I am sharing with you. A whole lot more needs to be determined, and we will be sharing all of that with you as we move forward. So I wish you a happy new year. Have a great semester. I will be in touch through C-Direct as well as budget forums, and I certainly hope that those who want to see changes will take the opportunity to have real dialogue, because that will be important, not for Joel as an old guy who will not be here for too many years, but for Peralta. Let's look forward. Let's not focus on an individual, because we are mortal. Let's focus on the future of our district, the future of our colleges, ultimately the future of our students who have been entrusted in us. May you have a great semester. Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor Laguerre. As we wrap up the day, it's about time to go. I want to just highlight that we have late morning workshops that are in the program. We have something on campus events. The classified folks will have a meeting. There'll be the equity rubric that was just presented, OER. Reading apprenticeship is in room F201. It's different than what's in the program. Please have a good rest of the day. And please fill out your evaluations online at the end of the day. It's in your packet. I will email it out. There will be paper evaluations, but we really need the data to come back. And thank you very much for coming to this morning session. Please give yourselves a clap for coming in the rain and for starting off for Spring 2019. Thank you. Thank you.
Good job. Yeah, I forgot Pinot stuff.
Okay.
Good job.
Thank you.